Good morning, good afternoon and good evening. I thank Kekashian Basu for the invitation to speak at this side event of the UN Ocean Conference. It's a very important topic that she wants to address here, and that's intersectional feminist perspective on ocean conservation. My name is Monique and I am in Paramaribo, Suriname in South America, on the unceded land originally inhabited by the Kalinya and Lokono. Some centuries ago, my ancestors migrated to these regions, most of them involuntary or lured under false pretenses. We are also here in the ecosystem of the coast of Suriname, with its rich and unique biodiversity of the mangrove swamp and marsh forests. The North Brazil Shelf large marine ecosystem lies adjacent to our coast. Its rich biodiversity and oxygen-producing plankton support the coastal area of Suriname with its rich fauna and flora. We thank these natural systems for the life they make possible in this part of the world. So this is to acknowledge and thank the ecosystems that support our human life. And it's really important that we keep thinking of this. When we talk about intersectional feminism, I think we talk about different perspectives on, for example, in this case, ocean conservation. Well, I want to bring another topic to the table when we talk about this, because we always think from a human-centric approach. But what about the animals that live in the sea, the ecosystem itself, and the pressures that it's under? We should consider those as well when we think about ocean conservation. And it is really important, I think, because when we talk about intersectional feminism, you look at culture. Well, there are, and we were at sea this last year, and we saw a whole pot of false killer whales. And it's quite clear that these animals have a culture, that they live together in a certain way. So when we talk about ocean conservation, we shouldn't just look at our anthropocentric perspective on things, but we should also consider the animals, the ecosystems, and our role in it. So in my foundation, the Green Heritage Fund Suriname, we focus on working on the coastal area of Suriname, which includes the swamps, marsh forests and the mangroves, and then adjacent to that the whole marine ecosystem. When we think about those things, we see that a lot of women are involved in conservation work. That is from marine-related work in the fishery sector. The men go out and fish, but once it comes to the shore, it's the women that process this fish and make sure it gets to market. We are very dependent on these systems. For Suriname, it's really important that we maintain our fisheries at a level where it can continue to sustain us. And that's why it's always important to not just look at it from our perspective, but also from the perspective of the ecosystem and the animals that are part of that. And I can give a nice example, because the traditional knowledge of the people is such that they know that the fish need to grow to a certain size. If they take them out too young, then there will be problems in the ecosystem. And they know this, they have the traditional knowledge, and this knowledge is shared among them. So when we want to protect these systems, we need to involve everybody. Everybody from all the traditional and local people that use the system, up to also actually looking at the ecosystem itself. And for some of that work, we do need scientific measurements, scientific analyses, to make sure that we can then define better where to protect, how to protect, and how we can continue to use the ecosystem without harming it. After all, if the ecosystem is not healthy, then we are going to suffer. And we see this already happening worldwide. We're now working also a lot on marine litter and marine pollution. And it's not just sufficient to recycle. We really have to start thinking about reducing our use of plastics, because plastics is a very important part in the overall economy and driver of climate change, because plastics are, after all, made from fossil fuels. So we need to really think about this ocean conservation, the blue economy. We shouldn't shift now from, because it's getting difficult maybe on land, to basically colonizing the water, because it will have an impact. So we need to really think and consider the whole ecosystem when we want to work on all these different aspects of living and using the ocean, but also coexisting with the ecosystem and with the animals that live in it. So I hope you have very good discussions further today, and we want to make sure that with the work we do, and we involve a lot of women in our work, that we can lay a good basis for maintaining life on this planet. And don't forget, our planet is 70% blue.